Hi, today you're in for a treat because we're doing something a little different on Daybreak. I'm going to be reading out a really interesting edition of one of the Ken's most popular subscriber only newsletter called Kaching, written by my colleague Anand Kalyanaraman. And it is titled, Are SIPs Always Right? No, says a new study. In this one, Anand digs into a recent India specific research paper that lays out a more nuanced reality than what the country's mutual fund marketing machine would have you believe. The paper prompted Anand to explore if SIPs are actually what they're largely believed to be. Are they really a foolproof way to invest in stocks? And do they actually guarantee growth and solve all your investment problems? Welcome to Daybreak, a business podcast from the Ken. I'm your host, Rachel Verghese, and every day of the week, my co-host Snigdha Sharma and I will bring you one news story that is worth understanding and worth your time. A few months ago, a senior mutual fund executive told me something that made me do a double take. They said SIPs are a problem. Now, I wasn't expecting to hear that from a beneficiary of an industry that came up with SIP Sahi Hai. This masterstroke of a pitch, which loosely translates as SIPs are appropriate, has captured the imagination of the Indian investor and helped the country's mutual fund market grow leaps and bounds over the past few years. Millions of retail investors are now religiously salting away money in systematic investment plans or SIPs month after month in scores of mutual fund schemes, mostly those that invest in stocks. Every new month sees record inflows with over 29,000 crore rupees coming in September 2025. The executive's gripe was with the way the mutual fund industry marketed and projected SIPs as a fail-proof, number go up, panacea for all ills mode of deploying money into the equity market. I again did a double take when Sanjeev Prasad, the managing director and co-head of Kotak Institutional Equities, debunked the mutual fund hype in a hard-hitting interview with the Ken last September. He pointed out that 40% of retail inflows since 2021 have yielded zero returns. Safe to say that a good part of those inflows came from SIPs. These two interactions set me thinking, are SIPs really sahi? I started looking for data to test the hypothesis, and it's as if Rajan Raju heard me. Last month, Raju, who runs Investpar Pate, a single-family office in Singapore, published a research paper titled with the exact same question. Are SIPs really sahi? A continuous time analysis of systematic investment plans in Indian equity markets. It's a mouthful, and it's packed with numbers, math, stats, and calculations. It's one for the geeks. But it's also packed with insights and conclusions that offer a far more nuanced perspective of SIPs than what the marketing machine of India's mutual fund industry would have you believe. As the paper puts it, current SIP Sahi Hai messaging oversimplifies complex trade-offs and may contribute to unrealistic expectation formation. Put very simply, the paper concludes that SIPs are not always sahi. Rather, SIPs are sahi, but subject to conditions. Conditional appropriateness, as it were. The paper, a more detailed and current extension of Raju's earlier 2022 study, arrived at its conclusions after running the numbers on SIPs for 20 years, from May 2005 to July 2025 for 5 NSE indices: Nifty 50, Mid Cap, Small Cap, Momentum, and Low Volatility. Its key findings go against popularly peddled and accepted wisdom. Are SIPs always safe as the marketing goes? And do they always make money? Nope. Even after long periods, SIPs run the probability of shortfall. Essentially, the risk that you could end up with less than what you put in. In fact, SIPs carry a higher probability of shortfall than lump sum investing, which is basically investing a bigger sum all at once over 5 to 7 year periods as well, even if there is lower volatility. According to the study, looking at Indian equity funds from 1999 to 2021, at the 3-year mark, SIPs show a shortfall probability above 6% versus under 5% for lump sum investments. At 5 years, SIPs still had a 2 to 3% chance of losses, while lump sum had virtually no probability of shortfall. And when losses did occur with SIPs, the average shortfall frequently exceeded 10% of the invested capital. Okay, so do SIPs at least come with higher returns? Again, no. Because since SIPs stagger investments, they sacrifice significant wealth creation potential compared with lump sum investments. For instance, according to Raju, over 2005 to 2025, a rupees 12 lakh investment over 10 years would have got over rupees 48 lakh if it was a lump sum investment, and only about rupees 28 lakh if it was through an SIP. So, the returns are lower and the risks are higher in SIPs. Then why do people still go for them? Well, it's simply because there is a behavioral case for SIPs. For most folks who invest in mutual funds from their regular incomes, like salaries, such SIPs, that the paper refers to as accumulation SIPs, act as commitment devices and eliminate timing decisions because they align with how most such people receive their incomes. Without a lump sum available, SIPs are the only way to invest in equity for such investors. But a lot of the SIP money has gone towards higher risk categories, the small and mid caps. Small cap SIP assets under management grew 6.5 times between 2019 and 2024. But at 5-year horizons, small cap SIPs show a 14% shortfall probability. This, according to Raju, creates a mismatch, especially with investors from beyond the top 30 cities who now account for over 35% of new SIP investments. As he puts it, high volatility assets plus investors with limited financial literacy plus marketing that emphasizes safety equals significant expectation gaps. In fact, the study demonstrates critical gaps between the expectation created by current SIP messaging and the actual outcomes that investors see. Potential wealth sacrifices substantially exceed what a typical SIP investor expects, and the safety benefits claimed in SIP marketing only work in certain specific cases over extended periods. As we've written before a few times, sequence of returns risk playing out can also significantly impact outcomes in SIPs. Unfavorable return patterns early on can mean lower total gains, but this is something that is rarely acknowledged in marketing narratives. Hence, the study's verdict: SIPs are not universally sahi. It's conditional. They might work for folks who would otherwise never invest or are prone to making timing errors, for risk-averse investors and systematic savers. But it's not for those who are capital-rich with short-term horizons or those expecting safer investments. The paper calls for regulatory oversight to ensure that SIP marketing accurately communicates the risks and rewards and the terminal wealth implications instead of simplified narratives that may mislead investors who do not fully understand the math, especially individuals who are trying to use SIPs to build a corpus for the long term, such as retirement. SIPs have their advantages, but it's not magical returns or lower risk. It's how they can help investors stay disciplined and avoid timing errors. And setting realistic expectations right at the beginning is crucial.
Daybreak is produced from the newsroom of The Ken, India's first subscriber-focused business news platform. What you're listening to is just a small sample of our subscriber-only offerings. A full subscription offers daily long-form feature stories, newsletters, and a whole bunch of premium podcasts. To subscribe, head to theken.com and click on the red subscribe button on the top of the Ken website. Today's episode was hosted and produced by my colleague Rachel Varghese and edited by Rajiv Sien.